And without that faith, it would never have happened. It wouldn't have. It just wouldn't have. You know, it amazes me. And I said, I thank God how amazing that He is.
Yes.
And I look around and I say, without faith, none of this would have occurred. I'll never forget, one day I went to my barber and he said, I had a discussion about you the other day. I went, oh boy, this was a good one. He said, there was a fellow in here said, you know what Gerald Mullins? Yep, I know him. He's a good friend of mine. He said, I think he's making a real big mistake. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, he told me, you're making a real big mistake from moving out of that mall and trying to build a church. And I went, huh? I said, first of all, God has ordained it. God has ordained it. God be for us, who be against us. And I said, but we got a vision, we got a passion, and we got faith. God's going to do it. And God has absolutely confirmed it over and over, ordained it, absolutely blessed it. But it all came because of faith. Faith. And the Word here speaking about these, give many examples. Can you imagine Noah? God speaking to Noah and said, hey, I want you to build this boat. And you know, I've heard descriptions of it, and modern day guys try to describe the size and the width of it. And they talk about like 3 football fields, you know. Stuff like that. And they built this recreation up in northern Kentucky, which from everybody who's been there says it's an amazing thing. But can you imagine an old man like Noah and God saying, I want you to build this boat because I'm gonna bring rain. He's like, what's rain? I'm going to bring rain on the earth, and I'm going to flood the earth, and I'm going to destroy it. So you build this boat, and you warn, and you tell, and you absolutely give everybody notice that what's going to happen. And the Word talks about the faith that Noah had. Can you imagine Noah telling his wife, listen, the Lord spoke to me last night and told me to build this big old boat. Are you sure? Have you, honey, did you slip and hit your head? It's going to do what? Can you imagine him telling his children, the Lord has spoke to me and said to build this big old boat. Lord, Daddy's lost his mind. Lord, poor Daddy. He's getting old, and he's telling us now the Lord's told him to build a big old boat. That it's going to rain one of these days, and we're all going to have to get in it. And he's going to put 2 of each animal in that thing. You ever think about that? I'll just stop for a second. Think about them animals. Who brought the alligators on? Who's in charge of that? How'd they get along with everybody else? You know, there was predators on that boat.
Yes.
Can you imagine them just looking over and saying, I can't wait to get my teeth into that chicken over there. Oh, man. If I catch Noah's head turning, well, there'll be one left. That's amazing. It's a miraculous thing. I know some folks, do you really believe that's what the Word says?
Yeah.
I believe every word of it. Every word of it. Because you know what? It's that faith that I have in God. I've never seen it. But I know. And he gave that example even as Noah, who was told to do this, he had to have faith to make it happen. By faith, he'd been warned to God of things not seen as yet. He didn't know anything about a boat. And you know what? If you read about the type of wood that he built it out of, you know, I've heard and read where the type of wood really wasn't the best wood to float with. But God made it work. By faith, Noah being warned of God, he prepared an ark. He did what God, because it's the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. He'd never seen rain. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed and went out not knowing whither he went. God told him, he went out, he began to do, he was obedient through the faith that he had in God. Said he sojourned in the land of promise as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. He looked for a city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is God. The eye of faith. He listened. Because without that faith, it was impossible to please God. And lastly, through faith, also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age. Had wanted, had prayed, had desired to have a child, but had lived past childbearing years. And through that faith that never ended, that never stopped, God delivered. When folks were saying, poor old Sarah, Lord, she's wanting a child, but Lord, she's just too old. It's just impossible. Nothing's impossible with God. Nothing impossible with Him. And God absolutely again delivered.